Hello children, welcome back to English class. Today's session we are going to learn from grammar. Title is Direct and Indirect Speech. Let's see and understand the direct and indirect rules with examples and for all tenses so that we can apply them correctly without making any mistakes in the exam. Okay, what is reported speech? Reported speech is the way we represent or report the speech of other people or what we say ourselves. Here we have two types of speeches. They are direct speech and indirect speech. Let's see one by one detailedly. First, we'll see what is direct speech. Direct speech is a sentence in which the exact words spoken or reproduced in speech marks, also known as quotation marks or inverted commas. For example, Sam said, "You will never guess what I have just seen." In a simple way, we can say direct speech is a representation of the actual words someone said. Okay, what is indirect speech? Indirect speech is a means of expressing the content of statements, questions, or other utterances without quoting them explicitly as in done in direct speech. For example, he said, "I am coming," that is indirect speech. He said that he was coming, that is in indirect speech. So, in a simple way, we can say that indirect speech does not give the exact words uttered but focuses on the content of what someone said. To change a sentence of direct speech into indirect speech, there are various factors that are considered, such as reporting verbs, modals, time, place, pronouns, tenses, etc. We will see each of these factors one by one. The first one is we should remember 12 types of tenses. So, we'll go through here. First, simple present tense. Example, I eat. The second one is progressive, that is continuous tense. I am eating. And the third one is present perfect tense. Example, I have eaten. And the next one is present perfect continuous tense. Example, I have been eating. The second one is past, simple past tense. Example, I hate. Past continuous tense. Example, I was eating. And the next one is past perfect tense. I had eaten. And the last one is past perfect continuous tense. Example, I had been eating. And the next one is future tense. Simple future. Example, I will eat. Future continuous tense. I will be eating. Future perfect tense. I will have eaten. And the last one is future perfect continuous tense. Example, I will have been eating. The next one is kinds of sentences. These four kinds of sentences are very important to find out or to change this reported speech. So, we should know what is declarative, interrogative, exclamatory, or imperative sentences. So, we are going to have all these four sentences in the direct and indirect speech. And the next one is conjunctions. That, if, or whether, to. So, these are the four conjunctions we are going to use when we change from direct into indirect speech. The next one we are going to see the changes of pronoun from direct into indirect speech. I become he or she, it based on the subject. We become they, you become he, she or they, my become his or her, our become their, your become his, her or their, me become him or her, us become them, you become him, her or they, mine become his or hers, has become theirs, yours become his, hers or theirs. Let's see the tenses one by one, how it's going to change from direct into indirect speech. So, the first one is simple present. So, in the sentence, if we have simple present, so when we change from direct into indirect, it will come as simple past. Look at the example. She said, I am unwell. This is in direct speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, it changed as she said that she was unwell. So in the direct speech, we will have comma, open quotation and close quotation will be there. Based on the subject, question mark or exclamation mark we will have. So, when it goes to indirect speech, first we should remove comma, open quotation and close quotation. Then we should use conjunction words to connect reporting and reported speech. And said can be replaced by explained, declared, agree, conveyed, told, argued, pleased, asked, etc. Look at the next one. If we have present continuous tense in a sentence, so when it goes from direct into indirect, then we should use past continuous tense in the reported speech, that is, in the indirect speech. Look at the example. Tanu said, I am playing guitar. That is in direct speech. So, when it goes to indirect speech, Tanu said that she was playing guitar. And the next one, present perfect changes into past perfect. Look at the example. They said they have finished their work. So, this sentence is in the present perfect tense. So, when it goes to indirect speech, we should change the tense present perfect into past perfect. They said that they had finished their work. And the next one is simple past change into past perfect. Look at the example. She said, Irwin arrived on Sunday. That is indirect speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, she said that Irwin had arrived on Sunday. And the next one is past continuous tense change into past perfect continuous tense. Look at the example. They told me they were playing basketball. That is in the direct speech. When it goes to indirect speech, the past continuous tense changed as past perfect continuous tense. Look at the example. They told me that they had been playing basketball. And the last one is future tense is changed into conditional continuous. Look at the example. He said, I will be disposing of the old computer next Monday. That is indirect speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, he said that he would be disposing of the old computer the following Monday. So the future tense has been changed as conditional continuous. Next one, we are going to see what are the conjunctions we are going to use in the indirect speech. It is based on the 4 types of sentences. The first one is statement. If the sentence is in the statement, then we should use that as a conjunction. Look at the example. He said, I like ice cream. So, the sentence I like ice cream is in the statement. So when it goes to indirect speech, we should use that as a conjunction word to connect reporting verb and the reported speech. Look at the example. He said that he liked ice cream. So the highlighted word that we are using there. And the next one is exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence expresses state of joy, sorrow or wonder. To change them in direct speech, specific words like exclaimed with joy, exclaimed with sorrow, exclaimed with wonder are added to the sentence. Like the statement, we are using that even for the exclamatory sentence. Look at the example. They said, "Hurrah, we won the match." So that is in direct speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, we should use that as a conjunction word. Look at the example. They exclaimed with joy that they had won the match. That is in the indirect speech. And the next one is interrogative sentences. No conjunction is used if a sentence in direct speech begins with a question word like what, where, when, how, that is WH question, has the question word itself acts as a joining clause or the question word itself functions as a conjunction. Look at the example. Where do you live? Asked the teacher. This is direct speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, the teacher inquired where I lived. So here, where the question word itself functioned or acted as conjunction. Look at the second example. He said to me, "What are you wearing?" That is direct speech. When it goes to indirect speech, he asked me what I was wearing. This is applicable only for WH questions. Please do remember this. The next one is yes or no questions that starts with the helping verb or auxiliary verb. If a direct speech sentence begins with an auxiliary verb or helping verb, then we should use if or whether as a joining clause or conjunction. Helping or auxiliary verbs are am, is, or, was, were, will, shall, may, can, have, has, had. Look at the example. She said to me, "Shall I help you?" That is direct speech. So, when it goes to indirect speech, she asked me if or whether she should help me. So, there we are using if or whether as a conjunction word. Look at the next example. Somu said to me, "Are you going to school?" So that is direct speech. When it goes to indirect speech, Soma asked me whether or if I was going to school. So here we are using if or whether as a conjunction or joining clause. Please do remember these points. In the interrogative sentences, reporting verbs such as said or said to changes to inquired, asked or demanded. Got it? Yes. And the next one is imperative sentences. A sentence that expresses a comment, a request, an advice, or a suggestion is called an imperative sentence. Has imperative sentences have a comment or an order, a request, an advice, or a suggestion? To change them into indirect speech, some specific verbs we could include. They are requested, order, advice, suggested. So instead of said, told, we can use all these verbs of a reporting verb. If the imperative sentence is in the negative and begins with don't, then we should use not to instead of don't. Look at the example. The policeman told me, don't park here. So that is indirect speech. When it goes to indirect speech, the policeman told me not to park there. So don't changed as not to. Look at the second example. The doctor said to the patient, quit smoking. That is direct speech. So when it goes to indirect speech, the doctor advised the patient to quit smoking. So here we are using to as a conjunction. So when we report an imperative sentence, we use a structure with to, that is, we use to as a conjunction word. Got it? Yes. And the next one is we are going to see where can we neglect the uses of tense. That is, tense do not change. So, if we have habitual action or universal truth in a sentence or in a direct speech, when it goes to indirect speech, we no need to give any change. Look at the example. He said, we cannot live without air. So that is universal fact or truth. So we no need to give any change when it goes to indirect speech. He said that we cannot live without air. And the second one is if we have present or future tense in the reporting verbs, then there will not be have any changes in the indirect speech. Look at the example. She says or she will say, I'm going to watch movie. So that is direct speech. When it goes to indirect speech, we no need to give changes. So she says or will say she is going to watch the movie. Got it? Yes. And the last one is change of time or place from direct into indirect speech. Now becomes then or at that time. Here becomes there. Ago becomes before. Thus becomes so. Today becomes that day. Tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day. This becomes that. Yesterday becomes the day before or the previous day. These becomes those. Ither becomes thither. Hence becomes thence. Next week or month becomes the following week or the following month. Last night becomes the night before or the previous night. And last week becomes the week before or the previous week. Okay, children, up to this the grammar gets over. Hope you understood. Please go through the rules and everything once or twice to have a clear view and do all the given examples in your textbook for better understanding. Thank you.